Well, as promised before we went into the break, that after that we were going to have with us a discussion around Olympic Games. And to be precise, we are talking about National Olympic Committee of Kenya activities that of late have been very positive. It's not common for any country to host the national, or national associations, national federations together. But on top of that, to crown it all, the cream de la cream of it all is to host the International Olympic Committee, president, not forgetting the Commonwealth Games president in a country within a span of weeks is not common. Kenya must be very, very proud of her work. But all this is as a result of the good work happening at the National Olympic Committee of Kenya. We are privileged and honored to be joined this afternoon by a man who needs no introduction because he's been in the limelight for all the good reasons around the Olympic Games, around the preparations towards the Olympics, and all the positives that we've been seeing. Of course, working very well, collaborative, with all the other members of the National Olympic Committee. But by the end of the day, it's the President and the Secretary General where the buck stops. So we are joined by the Secretary General, Mr. Francis Mutuku, with us here in studio to just let us know what's been happening from a NOCK point of view, because a lot has been happening and all the happenings have been all positively, towards developing sports in the country. Mr. Mutuku, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for such a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. It's always our, pleasure and honor to have you in studio. We feel honored, and thank you for making time to be with us.
Always our pleasure to come and talk matters, Olympic, Commonwealth. We can never say enough, but we are always grateful that KBC Channel 1 gives us that opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutuku. And I look at you and I look at the good old days together in so many other circles. But well deserved where you are, and it's congratulations for all the good work.
Thank you. It's always our pleasure. We are true servants of the sport. It's a passion, and we do it. It makes us wake up every day. And when we see people do like they did in Olympics, that makes us sleep very well.
Thank you very much, Francis. And let me start off with, just a question. How does it make you feel as the Secretary General, as the family of NOCK, to host both the Commonwealth Games president and the IOC president in the country in a span of weeks? It's not normal. It's not rare. It's not a common occurrence around many nations in the world.
Now that it's over, we can say we are very proud. We were very privileged. Obviously, before it happened, we were thinking it will be a logistical nightmare for us, especially the International Olympic Committee president. We are not protocol people at top level, and therefore hosting a very, very top person within the world. That was a new learning, a new experience for us. We were very privileged that the government agencies supported us greatly. In terms of all the logistics, from the Kenya Airports Authority, from the Civil Aviation Authority, the Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, State House. We were very, very lucky to be given support by practically every door we knocked within the government agencies. But for us, it was a proud moment to be able to have the International Olympic Committee president. He's one of the people we admire. He's one of the people we look up to. We feel he's been able to steer the Olympic movement in very, very difficult circumstances, especially COVID pandemic, being a leader and making a decision of postponing Olympics. That was tough, and therefore he's somebody we look up to in terms of the leadership qualities and what he's able to do within the Olympic family, and also the programs which he's been able to. And we know he has a special heart for coming to Kenya, and that was good for us. Commonwealth, as you all know, is on a rebrand mission. The recently elected Commonwealth Federation President, Dr. Jenkins, had promised, even in the campaign, that one of the areas he'll be focusing on is Africa. And true to his promise, he was able to come on the invitation of our president, Dr. Paul Tegat, to come and just interact with Kenya, to be able to share the experiences, to be able to learn about Kenya, but most importantly, because it was also a time when we hosted a workshop for CGS, Commonwealth Games Association of Africa and Europe. And we were also privileged that it is just the time when Glasgow was announcing that they'll be able to host the next Commonwealth Games. So it was a great moment for us to be able to be given a run-through of what the preparations are, to be able to ask questions, to be able to understand, but as Africa and Europe to be able to come together and share what is common to us in terms of positives, in terms of challenges and learnings, and see how we can be able to collaborate to grow the Commonwealth movement. So you are right, within that 1 month it was a good period for us, but I think over time we've developed a very strong administrative system. We are lucky to have very strong secretariat and very devoted executive members, because that required a lot of work. Some people are organizing. We were practically split in different places. Eldoret, Nairobi, and Nairobi it was about 4 different places. Mombasa because of the workshop. So back-to-back activities, but that was a good test of the systems which have been put by the executive in the last few years to be able to undertake programs, and a very passionate group of secretariat and volunteers who were able to come and support us. So that as they went back, and as we met them later in Portugal, the IOC president was looking back to Kenya and saying that was a great visit.
Francis, when you took over office with Paul Tergat, a lot was expected of you. And as we talk about the expectations that were there, one of the key things that many were asking for is how are they going to restore the lost glory of National Olympic Committee of Kenya. It looks like you guys have achieved it, restored back, the image of the organization. And anywhere you knock, it looks like blessings just come your way as a result of the confidence that you restored. How has the journey been?
Interesting, challenging. When we came in, there were very many challenges. Obviously, the biggest was the public relations aspect. The backdrop was very challenging Olympics, despite the Olympics having been the best outing for Kenya. Just like most things in Kenya, what took the headlines for the negative aspect. The sideshow, that's what took most of it, and therefore we came with that background. But somehow, and sometimes we just say it's God's grace to bring together such a wonderful team like which was brought together as an executive. People who have not known each other, who have not been together, but when they come together, they're able to gel and work. So the fact that people are able to work as a teamwork, that's very important. And it takes even the least, if you could put it that way, member disrupting the dynamics of the team and you're not able to deliver. So one of the things which I think has been very fortunate for the team is that we've had a very good, positive, and working very closely together executive. Secondly, I think everybody loves sports, and we were very clear that we had very many ideas. The National Olympic Committee was very many things to very many people. And therefore, if somebody asks what would you like the National Olympic Committee to be to you, it would have been a wide range of answers. So the first thing was to sit together with federations and just craft our vision and our objectives and what we need to be able to do. That helped us to focus on what is important. And within all that, we committed ourselves that whatever is of interest to the athlete, to the player, to the team, that is what we'll be focused on. As long as we put that at the center, then it becomes very easy to be able to work. We were very confident that the National Olympic Committee was simply a sleeping giant, and therefore what we've been able to achieve is because of courtesy of very good support, especially from our federations. If we're able to see far, I think it's because we've been able to stand on those shoulders of the giants within the federations and to be able to look far and see what could be. To be motivated by that, our athletes are world champions. They break records. Why can't we raise our standards of administration, our governance to the same level? We can't have low governance level when the athletes are at the world standards. We have to be above the standards which they are able to do. But most importantly is that we felt that if we are called to that position, it's purely a position of service to be able to provide. There's so much to be done, so little time, so little resources, but the arts are warm and great in terms of what we can be able to achieve. So we look back and say, yes, a number of things have been done, but we only know what we did not succeed in, and we continue working. But to people who are within the sports, we keep saying Kenya has not scratched the surface in terms of what can be done in sports. The possibilities out there are so much more than we can ever imagine. And if we continue with the same trend, we believe we can be able to do so much more. And yes, the National Olympic Committee as an umbrella organization must set the standards, so that is very easy for the other federations to be able to emulate. But most importantly, to be able to get trust from the athletes, because that has taken quite some time. Trust from the stakeholders, especially sponsors, because they're the people who bring the funds in, and trust from every Kenyan, so that the most negative thing is not the one which is easy to be accepted. People to be able to know there is work there, and people to be able to give every opportunity for our teams, our athletes to be able to say, even if something went wrong, the intentions were very, very good. So still work in progress.
Work in progress. And
Yes.
the milestones are there, and they're tangible. You can touch the successes that you guys have come with. Recently, you had a strategic plan. As you start looking towards 2028, you had a rear view mirror of the just concluded Olympics, but you're already thinking of the next. How was it like, and what's the strategic plan looking like?
As you know, and you're a sports person, one of the easiest things to ever do by anyone is to review a match. After the match, it's easy to say, we could have done this, you could have done this way, we could have put this team, we could. And so we took advantage at the point when everybody's in that set of mind on what could have been done better. The first thing we did before we went for Olympics, we met all the federations and asked those who are not qualified to give us a review of their journey, where they feel they succeeded, where they feel they did not succeed. We wanted that to be done while it's still top of the mind, so that people can be able to share. Immediately after Olympics, we brought again federations together, but this time the 6 federations which had qualified to Olympics, we are now the ones to share their story, to be able to tell us, yes, we succeeded. It's more of succeeded despite several challenges, or succeeded because they had a good program, or succeeded because opportunities came up. So that was very important for us to be able to review, to be able to pick up the learnings, to be able to see what was good and what we need to prepare for the future. But most importantly, and we've repeated this over and over to all the sports people, to the country, that performance is always a reflection of preparation. We say, and we've said that time and time again, you can give the National Olympic Committee billions 1 month before Olympics, but those will not be able to change anything. If the funding starts now, we might be able to do it. And therefore, we are starting a conversation which we hope the country can be able to embrace, that if we ever want to do very well in 2028, we should have started like 10 years ago. But the next best time is now to be able to prepare. And therefore, we started looking at simple question to federations. Do they feel that they can be able to qualify for Olympics in 2028? Or they feel it's better to prepare for Brisbane 2032 Olympics? Because again, the reality is that there are some sports where we cannot qualify for LA 2028, however much we do the work now, because the preparation needs time. It's not an overnight thing. And therefore, we start looking at what are the pathways, what are the possibilities, what structures do we need to put together. We decided, let's have a conversation and remove the issue of money aside, because sometimes when you think of money, it paralyzes the thought process. So we said, without money, let's discuss preparation and see what needs to be done. What are the other challenges beside money? What are the other opportunities beside money? So that we can be, and federations were able to share their experiences, to share what they felt were their challenges, what they felt is on the way of their performance or preparation. Then we decided, after all that, we had 2 facilitators to take us through what it means to plan long term. So that's what we are working on. It's not a one-day process. We've given federations until end of this month, November, to be able to come back with us and plans. The simple plans will be, yes, we have a chance to qualify for LA 2028 on 3 different levels. Those who feel they can qualify for Olympics and push for podium finish, what Kenyans understand as medals. Second round, those who can qualify for LA 28 and are competitive, that means they can go and play within the same level of Olympics. And third, and probably important for entry level, those who just want to make an entry to the Olympics to be the first. And making it to the Olympics is big. We keep reminding people, because out of the millions of athletes in the world, you become among the 10,500 or 600 who make it to that very, very prestigious club of participants. So that by itself is something we need to be celebrating and something we need to be aiming for. So with that then, they're working on it. The next 1 month they finalize. By December, we should be able to roll out our plan on individual level, have a discussion with government because it's a major stakeholder. By January, we start working on it. Luckily, there are quite a number of events which are between now and LA 28, like the Commonwealth. Individual federations have world championships to be able to prepare. We have local championships, so all this will be able to provide our federations an opportunity to identify the most probable athletes, most probable teams, what needs to be done in terms of preparation. It will help us next year when we are rolling out scholarship programs to be able to provide scholarship based on what the federations have identified as their most likely candidates to be able to qualify for the Olympics.
Hold it there, Francis, because you've mentioned, 2028, but next year proves to be a very important year for Kenya in terms of preparations, because we have the Dakar Festival coming in 2026. The same year, we also have Glasgow Commonwealth Games coming up, 2026, which means that, like you rightly put it, some preparations must start now, which means 2025 is a critical year for delivery. How is next year looking like for you in terms of preparations for both the Dakar Festival and the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow?
You're very right. 2025 is a critical preparation period. I know people might want to focus on 2026, but 2026 will be a reflection of what you do in 2025. We are aiming through the federations to do two critical things. The first one, which we must do before the end of this year, is to identify possible teams or athletes who are likely to represent the country in both Dakar for the Youth Championship and most importantly in the Commonwealth. As you've noticed, the Commonwealth program has been reduced, so it's just about 10 sports courts which will be participating. Luckily, it's still within our strong areas. We should be able to identify the team, start preparing them, start giving them the necessary exposure. Dakar 2026 is the more important one because we do not have very many youth championships in Africa. And therefore, sometimes you find our youth, the first level of competition is literally the Olympics. And therefore, we have to look at what opportunities can we create for our youth to be able to get the necessary exposure in terms of competition before they go to Dakar 2026. We are very happy that Senegal organized a championship for basketball, where our youngsters in basketball 3x3 went and did quite well. That's a focus we need to be able to do to keep that team prepared, to keep training all the way until Dakar. We need federations to be able to identify similar approach, youngsters so they can be put together. We know there are challenges of school program, but we believe that can be worked around either weekends or school holiday programs so that the consistency in training, the consistency in being together can be very important. National championship will assist us a lot in identifying who are likely to be in the Commonwealth, because in our history as a country, the best performance was in Glasgow. And therefore, we want to go and replicate or make it much better, that particular performance, when we go back to Glasgow in 2026.
Thank you very much, Francis. Before I let you go, it's important to discuss this. The UON partnership, more so around coaches, the program that's coming up, it's a very critical, program. You mind touching, just touching on it and what motivated, you guys to come up with a partnership?
Yes, and I'm happy that you've given me this opportunity because we've been having very many inquiries since we rolled out. The National Olympic Committee in the last several years has realized there are quite a number of opportunities for advancement of coaches, but sometimes the academic standards for the coaches has become a limiting factor. We push a lot that we need to embrace technology, we need to embrace sports science, we need to embrace modern ways of coaching, modern ways of approach in our sport. But you find that a good number of our coaches did not take the line of academics to be able to come to coaching. Either they were good players or they were participating in a particular event and then decided, okay, let me just settle for a coach because I can be able to transfer my skills, my knowledge, my experience to the next generation. And therefore, University of Nairobi accepted to be able to put together a course for coaches, and in our discussions it's based on practical level, because these are people who are practicing the sport, and therefore they do not want to do too much theory. They want knowledge which helps them to be able to advance. They have been able to set up a certificate course which will later become a diploma course, and hopefully it will be a degree course. The whole idea is to build the capacity of our coaches across all sports to be able to embrace whatever other systems the international federations have put in place, and to be able to pick it up, to be able to train, because our sport will only be as good as our coaches. What's happening is that we've opened doors for people to apply, as many coaches as possible, and we are very, very grateful that the take-up so far, the interest has been great. In fact, we are saying maybe we need more universities to provide that particular course. So people apply to the University of Nairobi. University of Nairobi, based on their own criteria, selects the coaches who can undertake that. Then the National Olympic Committee, for the first course, they'll be providing 25 scholarships, which will be given across on equal basis of gender, female and male, and then depending on how the coach has been in terms of supporting their federations, supporting the team, because we want to reward the one who is already putting the work within the federation, but we'll keep expanding it. We're also opening it up to African region for anyone who wants to be able to apply, because what is a challenge in Kenya is a challenge across board. We don't want Kenya to be an island where we do very well. We want other countries to do well so that our competition can be good. And repeatedly we've said that we must collaborate, work together.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis Mutuku, Secretary General, National Olympic Committee of Kenya. A very noble idea indeed, and it's good that you're not just looking at Kenya, but you're scanning the environment so that the more competitive the region is, the better Kenyan standards go high. We appreciate you making time to be with us, and we will keep an eye, and we will invite you to keep appraising Kenyans of what's happening, but keep up the good work happening at the National Olympic Committee of Kenya.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure. Thank
you very much. That has been a discussion with Francis Mutuku, who is the Secretary General, National Olympic Committee of Kenya, just appraising us of what's been happening. Of late, they've had high-profile, guests in the country. The IOC, International Olympic Committee of Kenya, International Olympic Committee, President, the Commonwealth Games presidents, both in the country. Like he says, it's been logistically a tough headache for them, but now that the guests are left, it was a success, and we appreciate and we thank them for all the good work. That clearly showcases that Kenya at the moment is on the spotlight for all the good things from a sporting point of view. Road to 2028, road to 2026, Dakar Youth Games, not forgetting the Glasgow Games in 2026 as well he's touched on, including the partnership with Nairobi University around coaches. Thank you very much, Mr. Mutuku. Wish you all the best.